Welcome to Meta Tripping, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. This is the December monthly. All right. Before we get started, this intro is actually being recorded after the fact of the recording with the reading because there was a little bit of confusion of how I was going to arrange this. There have been some weird changes going on with YouTube, with when I looked with my channel, like it wasn't coming up in search and things of that nature. So I'm going to keep checking back on that. I know a lot of people have been saying that marginalized metaphysicians have, deal with being silently quieted or having their algorithms played with. Unless they have like a large audience that's actively like engaging and that sort of thing, then it's a little harder for algorithms to be played with. I am hoping that Google, who owns YouTube of all companies, is not on that type of trip. But, it is what it is. I'm going to keep checking back to see what's going on with that. And we know the Patreon is launching. So the Patreon launch date is slated for tomorrow, but I've been dealing with, no surprise there, a lot of opposition. So there is a possibility that while there will be publicly available content to the best that I'm able to upload it, because I have videos ready to go, or podcasts rather ready to go, I'm giving probably a potential range of possibly Thursday if there has to be like a second kind of officialized date for sign up. But there will still be like some videos that are publicly accessible to those who don't become Patreon members, just in the spirit of service to the community. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all in an awakening process, and there's value in making sure that there's information available to folks out there to work with. Also, though, I am listening to spirit, and I am seeing as an empath how important it is to really become more involved in the spirit of even exchange, where before I would like give and kind of expect very little in return or not expect anything at all. And what has ended up happening in my life is I would be in those situations, and then if I would find myself in a hard pressed situation, it would be very disconcerting to me, because I would find a lot of the people that I'd extended so much generosity to really weren't that concerned with the fact that I had fallen on hard times. So it's kind of one of those things, like, how many times do you have to learn that lesson? And I was like, well, this is different. This is community service, but Spirit was pressing me in September to get something going along the lines where it's a little, like a more private community and there's a spirit of exchange going on. So that's going to be launching, and it is slated for a launch this week. I will have the link in the description box if you want to check it out. There isn't probably going to be anything showing up there until either very late tonight on December 2nd or early December 3rd. And from that point, you'll be able, either to watch what's publicly available and kind of wait for the option to like sign up as a member, for, when I'm able to get everything, the ducks in a row, because there have been weird Wi-Fi issues going on. It's just been a lot of off the wall opposition whenever I've tried to take a step forward. It's been wild, you know what I'm saying? But, I'm the type that this is just how I've been in life, that keeps pushing. So I did want to give that brief announcement. And for those that are becoming, channel Faeries on Patreon, there is a workbook that is going to be released. Y'all have access first. There is a pre-print release of a new deck that's an expansion of the Quantum Root Oracle that's going to be released. I'm not sure that it's going to be released this week, but you'll be having updates and that sort of things, and you all are going to have like first access to it. And with the deck itself, with the preprint version, y'all might be like the main ones who have access to that actual version, to the beginning version. The remaining public might get access to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it officially releases is when they would get access to it. And that is that. There's a lot of good Ascension commentary, some things that I haven't really gotten into on the channel because I don't always know like where everyone is that I'm speaking to at a given time unless I'm doing a reading and I'm tuning into the energy. So this will help because I think, probably a lot of the people who are signing up are like really about like putting in the metaphysical practices and seeing the results and getting somewhere. And then those who kind of just want to tune in, to the public, like freely available stuff, can dibble and dabble if that's kind of, where the comfortability level is, because on a spiritual journey, you want to go with what resonates, and it's not always about going hard body and full on into something that you don't feel completely comfortable with yet or don't feel well versed in or what have you. So it gives the opportunity for folks to, jump from channel to channel and check different things out as they begin to put things together, and explore the possibilities of their own awakening. So, all right, without further ado, we are going to move into the pre-recorded portion for the December monthly. And before we do that, because it's just, okay, there's a slight discrepancy in the recording that I almost forgot to mention. When we get to the fire element and the fire signs portion, because the sacred root card came up and it is an earth card, there were a few times I slipped and I was saying earth sign, or I transpose it. I do correct it in the video, but just so no one is confused, once we get to the fire sign portion, the fire element portion of the dimensional energies that are taking place on the planet there, you'll hopefully understand what the error was. I was speaking about fire signs, but the energy that fire signs are dealing with is earthy. So, and it is at a 1D, so this is really where a lot of fire signs are going to be dealing with kind of like stabilizing by honing in on what is really meaningful and what is really sacred. But we'll get to that. All right, y'all. So you can check the time and date stamps if you do want to skip ahead and see. It's an overview of the signs. There is a possibility that I will do zodiac on the Patreon sign by sign. It really depends on if there's a demand for it. You know what I'm saying? If that's something that y'all would like, in addition to the Star Sestry readings. And there will be Star Sestry overviews still being posted on YouTube. So I don't want anyone to feel like anything is going away. I don't have that my intention is to make sure that the information is available, to those who don't have the means to sign up for a Patreon or what have you. It's a very small amount for the Channel Fairy tier, but still in all, I know the times that we're in or what have you, so there still will be Star Sestry overviews. It's just like any live readings that I'm doing or any longer form readings where we really get in depth, with different energies that are emerging, different skills, abilities, continuations of some things that, skills and abilities that have been emerging, methods and things of that nature, like really getting into it for folks that are really, really doing the practice of it. That's what's going to be on Patreon. So what'll be posted here will mostly be the overview of what you can watch out for, and that sort of thing. And some of the things that you can utilize as different energies are afoot. All right. So now, with all of that said, thank you so much for your patience. Hopefully, I don't know how many of y'all listened to this portion, because I actually am going to timestamp the intro to give folks the option to just skip ahead to where they need to skip ahead to. But for those of you who did, thank you. And you can look at the timestamps if you do want to skip ahead to like your the element that your sign is in, because I do touch on both the element and then some of the advice that comes through for how the signs will be managing it, some of the pitfalls and things that might come up in relationships and will work and that kind of thing. All right, y'all. All right. Energies. Before getting into that, we dealt with a lot of testing this fall. And it wasn't just testing. There was a great deal of triggering to facilitate a primal wave that pushed us into certain dream space energies and dream space abilities that came through in the Star Sestry readings. So as difficult as some of these passages, these interdimensional passages, have been, we see that there's also the miraculous side of things. So the harder things can be, the larger the miracles, the more profound, oftentimes. So when we put October and November into context, as long and drawn out as they may have been, we were afforded great opportunities to open our eyes on levels of the self that have been lulled to sleep and easily triggered. So that's why, why were things continuing to come at certain, at certain triggers? Well, what is useful out of that, because everything is useful, what's useful out of that to those who are on the journey for Goddess and God empowerment, it allows you to release what is there. It gives you an opportunity to release what is there, because we don't typically look at, what is the saying, a squeaky wheel gets greased. So we don't always look for these things unless we're just naturally inclined to do that. Virgos, what I'm saying? Team Virgo knows about that life, and those with significant Virgo placements. I do have I guess you could say, a fairly significant Virgo placement, though it's not my sign per se, in the astral zodiac construct. But when situations are magnified and demanding attention, we have the opportunity to really clear out some things that are not just ours. In many, or even most of these cases, we're talking about generational patterns, problems, entities, implants, you name it, that have impacted the abundance that folks have been able to tap into, that have impacted, generations of folks who dealt with really dysfunctional romantic issues that left them feeling, alone or jaded. You know what I'm saying? It's a big deal when there are blockages within that we're unaware of, causing our lives to move in a certain direction and triggering us to react in a way that perpetuates the pattern, so we keep going through it. So these triggers and curves and potential blowouts have served to help us to reclaim all that is ours and what belongs to our forebears, as well as we learn to engage differently, because you break a pattern with a different action and with a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? That, it's a key thing. It's a very quantum thing. You know what I'm saying? A very Aquarian thing. This is when you step out of the equation and, from some level of God's self, answer the equation from a level of true consciousness, of intelligence, of responsiveness. Instead of reacting, anyone can react. Anything can react. I mean, like, inanimate objects can react. You know what I'm saying? If they're set up a certain way, just off the force of momentum. You know what I'm saying? From the triggering object. Those desk magnet type deals, they have like those, I guess they're a form of sculpture, and they have these spheres that are hanging, and if you pull one and you hit the next one, the others get hit and move, and then they come back with that same reaction, and they hit the other ball in the direct, and from the momentum, it can continue on. That is a reaction cycle. It does not require any intelligence. Well, it doesn't require even a 0 IQ. You know what I'm saying? It's pre-established. So when we're talking about simulation consciousness, we really want to make sure, if we're serious about the path, we really want to make sure, like, am I responding from the God levels of self that I know I have within, or am I allowing myself to be reduced to the consciousness level of an inanimate object that just reacts as scripted? We want to step out of the control that the simulation has and be at the helm of our astral interfaces and how we interface in general with any world or realm. And, in order to do that, we have to be the ones who are at the helm of our emotions and deciding when to engage and when not to engage, and deciding when a more detached Aquarian, higher vibrational connection point and perspective is in order. And typically those triggering situations fall away when they're met with a higher perspective star crown type of consciousness. Because something that's coming at you, like in that trigger wave, has been triggered itself. You know what I mean? And you stop the wave. You don't kick the spheres on your end back towards the spheres that came at you, and it stops. You know what I'm saying? And with the impact, it would really be affecting the other side in terms of any kind of collision impact, because you're not engaging. So, all right, y'all. We're gonna move on to the elemental focuses. Bear in mind that this will touch on just the general elements in this, world simulation, and also the signs, you know what I'm saying, that are under certain elements. And it can apply to just about any system that you use. It doesn't have to be the Western Zodiac construct, but anything that you connect to air, water, fire, earth. So, if your swerve is mermaids, and that's going to apply to your mermaids, because this is what's going on, going on with the water, All right, just a moment. Lovely. Ooh, I think we may be in for a trippy time in December. We got some 60 energies. Air is going to be dealing with 60 energy, which is dramatically different than the 1D energy that we had to deal with in November. This is extremely heartwarming and a relief. I mean, I wasn't bracing myself for anything, but it's been a time. At the top of the deck, even though it wasn't one of the cards that was drawn, is "You Are a Miracle." It is a 5D card, and essential nature is the subtext of this card. So it's just something to think about, because I noticed that it somehow feeds into the waves of what we deal with when it's like the card resting at the top of the deck for some reason or another. I have not quite figured out Spirit's system on that yet. All right. We're going to start with air. This is the brief overview portion. We're going to just go over the elements, the dimensional wave that the elements will be primarily working with and through, so you can get a feel for what the mood and just the spatial interface will be like, and also what we are embodying and what we're dealing with when we up level, and also the energy to deal with for up leveling. Yes, the energy to deal with for up leveling as confirmed by Spirit. All right, y'all. So the air element in the extended portion. The air element is going to be in 60 in December, and just a moment. It's Good Comes to Me as the card. Just a moment. All right, so I think the waves in December, there's going to be a lot of relief in the air. I think this is going to be on the tail, the way that it's feeling, of good news, just relief after having been extremely stressed out about something or some things. There's like a renewal of spirit going on, is what it feels like, which is amazing. And I am so grateful to know that this is coming, because October and November, y'all, we know what the swerve has been with that. People are going to be looking at things through a more, folks would usually use the word humanistic, but I'm going to say more of a heart lens, where it seems like the overall wave is going to be that people are going to want to hear other people's stories more. So you might even see more support groups popping up, maybe some really creative ideas for support groups, maybe just more communally based options. It doesn't just have to be like local community. I mean, it could be coming from I don't know if it would be coming from corporate interests. That's not where I feel the energy coming from. But just folks who know there needs to be a change. So outreach of various forms will be available, and it will be much easier for folks who are requiring assistance, because there's been a lot of hardship, to access assistance and to access an ear that actually cares. On the romantic front, I'm we'll get deeper into the vibes, but just for the overview, I'm seeing like a lot of healthy connection between divine masculines and feminines. Playful, joyous, sexy. It's looking good, you know what I'm saying, for those who have, really done the high frequency work with their thoughts and gotten to heart alignment and followed that path. Those who haven't followed that path might experience, because the energy feels sad, alone, vulnerable, but those are the very times that it's possible to heal some deep wounds, to really do self-reflection work and make use of that. There's been a whole lot of pressure that has been laid down on the heads of folks, and we need this. We need this positive flow energy. It's just really going to be so much easier to access the well-meaning and open-hearted side of folks. And Spirit saying definitely some folks you may not even expect. So enjoy the mirth and the goodwill, because the wave is feeling good, and it's definitely restoration energy. And this is just something as a sidebar to consider. Restoration energy has to happen. We can't have periods that it just doesn't work like that, where you're sucked dry and not compensated. What we do with aligning our thought frequencies with our heart, our heart alignment, is we ensure that what comes is in heart alignment for the next season. So this is why it is so important to take that time out of your day to align yourself, even if you've only got 10 minutes, y'all. I've been doing this for years, and I've had my times where I only had just a little bit of time. Eventually it becomes a habit where you don't even have to make a session if you're really about it, and you could be anywhere. And in your head, you know what I'm saying, go into a thought space of like, all is well. And meanwhile, those of you who really stay on it and really do the work, your thought waves are going to be so much bigger than average, just off the fact that you're utilizing your thought waves with like your projection is focused towards a thought frequency that's in heart alignment. So the waves that come off of it, that's going to affect others. So if you're up in the mix having positive thoughts in a circle that's having a lot of negative thoughts, that's healing work. It changes things. It literally does. I those of you who haven't, I really would I highly recommend that you go and check out some of these meditation studies that they did. There was one in DC. I do not recall the year, but it would have at least had to have been before like 2006, because honorable, maybe 2007. It was somewhere around that time. There's a YouTube video on it, at least one, where the police department became involved with some meditators around a study of how to bring down crime. Look, I have my opinions where it comes to law enforcement that I'm not going to bring into this conversation, other than to say that. But in this, for whatever reason, this particular department decided to do it, I guess because the crime wave was so ridiculous. It was in the D.C. area. And the meditators focused and had this group meditation. I don't know if it was for the whole month, but the point is, however long it was, while it was happening, it diminished crime like so dramatically that like even, a group that you wouldn't consider to be on the wave of, believing in anything quantum, you know what I'm saying, had to admit it had an effect and it worked. So, I mean, these things they're measurable, statistically, scientifically, it's like measurable, how thought waves affect the environment. So your thought waves right now affect the environment. And it's, in December, there's going to be an encouragement towards positive thought and higher possibilities. You know what I'm saying? So, enjoy it. Avoid being idle with it. Put that to use, y'all. That's like law of attraction time. If that's the general wave and move, that is prime time for planting high vibrational thought seeds that are in alignment with your higher timelines. If you're in school and you have a certain goal you're trying to reach, see yourself, having graduated and attained what it is that you are seeking to attain, and create that path. You know what I'm saying? It's not to say you won't have to do any work outside of that to get where you have to go. But if that's the route you're taking, now you're making sure that you don't end up on some back road somewhere by following behind the wrong person, and falling off your dream. And this applies to anything. It doesn't just have to be school. Like if you're an artist and you're looking to get into galleries as an indie artist, if you're, whatever it is that you do, set your trajectory where the timeline you're going to get to is the timeline where you've completed it and you've succeeded. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're going to create with your thoughts, and do it regularly. And whenever there's a good mood wave where you don't even have to go through any extra changes to get into a good mood, because that mood's going to facilitate. It's already got good vibes. There's already a good vibratory frequency. So, you know what I'm saying? You marry that with some high thought frequency, you're goody. All right, so air signs, as a quick overview. Some of you who got caught into lower thinking patterns are going to have to remind yourself to be grateful for what you have, just to find the kind of impetus to move forward. Any who have kind of got caught up in, well, how come so-and-so has this, but I don't, try to avoid that level of thought, because it keeps you fixated in like a loop of dissatisfaction. Remember, our thoughts generate our experiences, and it's never more evident. It's never been more evident than, in the past, 6 years or so, where more and more manifestations, like almost instantaneous. So that would just be the pitfall, air signs. On the higher wave, though, I think it's just going to be getting out of your own way, so that any opportunities that come to you aren't sabotaged by your own disbelief that, like, you can have the good. So it's coming through a bit warning-based, air signs. Please avoid being discouraged by that. This is to assist you in navigating, because it does look like there are going to be kind of some potential snags with you looking at what you receive and not being happy with it. And I would say don't look too closely at what you receive and not being happy with it. I would say look at what you receive, you know, with the potential, you know what I'm saying, of what it can grow into. You know what I'm saying? And I think that changes, like, the whole thought wave. Spirit's confirming. You know what I'm saying? Like, it changes the whole thought wave for how, like, y'all will approach things. Then that childlike wonder can come online. And do your best to, like, breathe, relax. Any of y'all who are dealing with anxiety, there, you know, the 90 waves in November that came through, they take their toll. Utilize these good energies in the month to heal. And again, you know, if money seems like a little slower, you know, at points, you know, just make use of your time. You know what I'm saying? Make use of your time where you enjoy what you're doing. This can even be with hobbies or hobbies that make money. And you'll get the help you need. Like, people will look in on you to make sure that you're getting the help that you need. If, you know, and I would have to say, like, if you stay in that good wave, you know what I'm saying, of, well, let me occupy myself while I'm waiting for things to pan out type steez. All right, y'all? I'm going to move on to the water element, which would be the next element in the manifestation cycle. Air representing thought, water representing what we're in. You know, like, regardless of density, it's like there's an understanding or an understanding that it's actually all water. So the energies that I'm picking up are going to be about letting love in, y'all. There's a little timidity I'm picking up, like just a little bit of that. But some really beautiful love connection moments. So, like, you know, when I first looked at this, you know, I was like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it came up in even the air placement, you know what I'm saying, that, like, these divine feminine and divine masculine unions are, you know what I'm saying, at a more, just a closer place, and it feels so beautiful and so sexy and so romantic, like even if y'all been rocking with each other for the past 15 years, it's romantic, like first time romance is in this mix, the way it feels, because when you reawaken at higher levels and you realize who someone is to you on a multidimensional level and a beyond dimensional level, a divine masculine counterpart or a divine feminine counterpart who's been rocking with you since before you ever incarnated here, it's a whole different level of awe, and it affects how your concept of simulation, and it really diminishes any inflated importance that the simulation may have, because at the end of the day, that's, you know, on some props to Talib, you know what I'm saying, like, all you really need is love. You know, all this stuff we do just to get by, but at the end of the day, all we really want is love. That's the underlying motivation. And props to Starseed Energetics. In one of her videos, she equated love to money. And she was like, money is just a, I'm paraphrasing, but like money is just a, it's like an after manifestation, so to speak, of how love energy is expressed in the simulation plane. You know, it's at a certain density, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So it ties in. You know what I'm saying? And even what this is interesting. This taps into Jaden Smith's video, where he was definitely honoring X. Because you could see it all in his mannerisms and the inspiration and what have you. But he had like pink money in the video, and that's speaking to love. Like, getting into the love wave, it's like going to answer all
all of the problems that we've been struggling with, and just reconnecting with soul family. Like, that's the move. Trusting that getting into that wave is going to bring you exactly where you want to be, you know what I'm saying, with exactly the right ones. You know what I'm saying? So the more we get used to that, you know what I mean, the more, like, life is going to change. And when you have the divine feminine and the divine masculine working in harmony, synthesizing, realigned, you have both hemispheres of your brain operating at the same time. It's a different level of thought. It's a different, you know what I'm saying, realm of consciousness. So it's just different, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It changes things. It changes that, like, it makes that need base, like, where we get into, like, needing this or needing that and feeling desperation behind it. Well, we know better, because what precedes this is love. What precedes this is a togetherness that's so intrinsic to existence that we're never truly alone, because we do have another half of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And yes, we can be a whole self, but even to function as a whole self, how we act in that whole self-consciousness as an individual down here it impacts the other and how they act. And since it's duality, if it's at duality level, which typically, individuation has that, some level of that to it, you know what I'm saying, down here, or has, I guess depending on what lens you're looking through. Now you see the duality of two things which are meant to be together, and the problems that arise, and the interferences that try to come between. And so that's what we've been struggling with. It's what was trying to come between, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's looking real good. I'll tune into the signs in just a moment. I want to see what else I can give, just like on a generalized basis. I think people are going to be learning how to share. There's just this general wave coming through of learning cooperation. Some of this, on the less, what some might consider less ideal ends, if we must go there, is it might just be that now, because of all of the work that has been done on a high frequency level, those that were in positions of hoping to impose tyrannically are kind of forced to make concessions, because there is nothing else for them to do. They have no other choice in the matter with the way things have been organized behind the scenes, because you all know Spirit been working behind the scenes. So this doesn't necessarily mean any alliances formed of that are going to be high vibrational on some level where all problems are eradicated. But it does imply that this is a wave that it's starting starting a new kind of, I guess we'll just say, like, wave of exchange that is more fair. And habits are formed the more we do it. So something may be started on a certain timeline, but if there's any more clearing work to do along those lines, I'm sure we'll be doing that work. But the point is, just by this being facilitated with a starting point, there's always going to be that to go back to, and it will just build. We'll keep building on it. If we have to do any timeline jumping there, we'll just keep building on it, and it will gain density. Enough density on an astral level that impacts it here with far more kind of like installation, into the simulation, where higher waves, quantum waves, divine waves are now awakening the pathways of that higher flow. And that's just, it's an indomitable force at that level. So, it may seem like a lot of the work that we did, like, why do we keep finding ourselves back at a certain game point? But the reality is, work was being done along the way. and it all adds up. All right, y'all. So water signs. Water signs. Ooh, so sexy. Such a deepening of intimacy for water signs. Yeah, that tenderness and that hypersensitivity that kind of has been kept in hiding. You know, your divine counterpart, your divine lover, you know, will be finding ways to maybe playfully tease that out, and it's very sexy. So for those of y'all in divine relationships, I see this really renewing relationship connection and interest. If there's been, because there have been a lot of interruptions and there have been a lot of things that have kind of put folks at odds, even if it was a little bit in the best manifestations of relationships. It was trying and distancing to some extent because we had so much work to do and so much purging and release and sorting and recalibrating. There was so much recalibrating. Those of you looking for relationships, this can be a sexy time, but please, y'all, if you're not in one, please heed all the warnings at the door so that you avoid engaging in cleverly disguised low vibrational relationships with the wrong people, because emotional contracts often have happened behind the scenes. And if you're coming from a place of self-devaluing, then you attract the partner who will devalue you also. So doing self-love work is everything, and I think it's going to be much easier to do. The way this energy feels is going to be much easier to do. It's going to be like getting up, like, you know what I'm saying? Feeling like you have your wave back. So nurture that. You know what I'm saying? Really nurture that. I'm feeling for a lot of y'all a plentiful flow where finances are concerned. Just things working for you. People seeking you, so you becoming more sought after. Some of you may have to manage some of this abundance. So time management, y'all, get your schedulers. Know your personal rhythm so that you can align yourself in a way where you can handle any increased levels of responsibility. Yeah, I'm just picking up a lot of energy, like water signs, like y'all gonna be sought after. So if you need to if you run an independent business, hiring extra help, you can gig out. You can go to Fiverr, source people there. I think Odesk is still operational. Check it out. Look and see if Odesk is operational. Still, I think it is. What else is there? That you can just hire a virtual assistant. LinkedIn, you can go check LinkedIn. I mean, that's a good spot. You know what I'm saying? If you need a virtual assistant, and just arrange it in a way where you don't feel like you're compromising any of your clients' information, but just some of the tasks that would make your life easier, hire it out. You know what I'm saying? And get you a little extra peace of mind or a little extra creative time so that you can kind of up the quality of your products and projects, because you have true dedicated creative time to deal with them without financial pressures on your head or time pressures on your head that are related to finances. Because I think the more that we can get into that creativity wave, but in a balanced sense, the better off the world's going to be, because that's where the true life force is at. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see carbon copies of carbon copies of carbon copies in any realm of anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what we've been seeing an influx of. And it's got to come back to a point of originality. It really does. I mean, I'm not saying all the media offerings are dry, but so many of them are so dry that it's just, challenging. That Netflix queue, for instance, challenging to sort through that sometimes. After you get through, the few good things that they release. You know what I'm saying? It's time to, just bring it back online. make sure the creatives that are putting out content are supported so that we actually have like really good content. There's like so many geniuses out there, like, you know, that have senses of humor, and you know, maybe they flex with animation and they'd like to put together an animation series, but they need like 3Gs, you know, on GoFundMe or Kickstarter. Like, as a community, as a, you know, cosmic community, as a universal community, we have to learn to start supporting what we actually want to see, as opposed to like supporting what we're triggered, you know, to gravitate towards. You know what I'm saying? You know? Anywho, I think that's pretty much that for the water sign overview. See if there's any other warnings. Your intuition is going to be keen, so anything that gives you the Terry McMillan eyebrow, heed that side eye reaction within you and go in the other direction. There's no need to take a microscope to something that's not worth your time to begin with. But I think mostly this is going to be a good time, the time where you can rest and you can relax. You know, a lot of intuitive insights. Some of y'all will be getting visions. I'm seeing like downloads of certain symbols will be coming to y'all. So I'm seeing a lot of third eye, and it definitely downloads. And I'm seeing like an inverted triangle, and it looks violet. Very vivid imagery, but it's honed in on that. Oh, this is such a trippy experience, this ascension process. All right, y'all. Moving on to Earth. The Earth element is going to be operating at 1D. So this is typically, I look at 1D as very much a recalibrating type of space to find oneself in, and for this to be where the spirit, you know, that fire energy will mostly be engaging. I'm relieved that Sacred Root is showing up, because the subtext is stability. So this is going to be where people find just a moment, where they want to be and where they need to be to reach the goals, like the certain end goals. You know, the suggestion here is that a lot of these thoughts have been swimming around in the consciousness for a while, and, you know, have even been worked on, but some of these things I'm picking up have been it's been things that folks have been hesitant to approach, just because of self-doubt, because of not, you know, feeling like something's out of its range. This is where in December, like, it's going to be about raising that self-belief energy to go up to that opportunity that you're seeking and present yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that just a moment. So that you don't have to keep waiting and wondering is really what the energy feels like. Like, you know what you want and you want to go after it. And this energy has been building for some time. Yeah, I guess it was from what Spirit is saying. Like, it may even, you know, may feel like infinity. Like, it's just been going on. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of like summoning strength and courage to go after, and it feels like for folks, there's going to be more awareness of like exactly what you want, and that's going to steady your movements toward it. So coming away from that indecision, I was trying to get a beat on the energy, and there was a little bit of interference, a little bit of wave interference, but yeah, just get past, and that's probably speaking to the wave interference, you know, that could arise. Get past any doubts that might try to make you think you can't move toward, you know, your higher timelines. that you really want to see manifest, to be actualized, and be stable. Because it looks like all of the work has been done in most of your cases of folks who tune in to this monthly. So whether some of it was done 5 years ago, whether some of it was done, you know what I'm saying, last year, and a patch of it done this year, the point is you put work towards it in the astral. And so you created density for the possibility of manifestation down here. All you got to do is just pick up and continue the work, you know, to move towards it. So if you can put it in that context, I think it's going to be affecting that earth energy with a lot more support and a lot more light. And it feels like an interspatial light, like, you know, almost like yeah, the Spirit's confirming, like, I'm getting, like, comedic imagery, like, there's an ancestral, you know, for some of y'all, maybe most, maybe all, like, an ancestral, either there was a waiting type of pathway already that's being activated, or you just got an ancestral wave that's ushering you into something, but it feels like a fairly big deal in low-key rapping. Or possibly low-key rapping, you know, just more mundane. It's like much grander than it looks, I guess is basically what I'm trying to say. So the Spirit is saying focus on your breath and stabilizing yourself within your breath. It affects your thought waves. All right? So that's something very good to practice. Moving on to the earth signs. Earth signs, as an overview of how these energies are going to be affecting you. Really, I think, like, there are going to be some tests with some of y'all earth signs of, like, just how much power you give to doubt. So this is where, like, take the advice of November with the fire sign area. Oh, I'm sorry. Water sign. Fire signs is what I said earth signs. Fire signs. This is the fire sign placement. Just avoid what attempts to come to oppose, you know what I'm saying? Like, utilize some of that November energy that was the advice for y'all and deal with your star crown energy. Some of y'all are at a level where you can literally stop something in its tracks by just getting into the right thought frequency. You know, just like getting into like a violet ray type of space within your own consciousness. You can stop things in progress that are happening in the astral to try to jam you up. And this is something you'll be experiencing if you put it into practice, y'all, with this card coming up. In December, those of y'all who are rocking it on that level, where, you know, where you're you know, working on your goddess and godhood on that level. Don't fret about any money issues or what have you. Keep yourself playful. Keep yourself, Spirit is giving me like curious. So Spirit is saying doors will open, and this is like verbatim, doors will open for you when you are otherwise occupied. You know what I'm saying? So keep yourself busy. Stay out of any type of idle consciousness, fire signs. Relationships could be annoying at times this month. Fire signs, just pestering type individuals. You know, those of y'all who are in relationships might just find it difficult to, you know, if you feel like you're being nagged or you feel like you're being stifled and you need like some space, like those types of issues can be coming up. But that just, what Spirit is saying, that just tells you that you need to rest. You know what I'm saying? You need to rest. rest, recalibrate, and come at it with a new lens. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember what made you fall in love with this person and start from there is what Spirit literally just gave me. So that's how you can deal, because that's how you bring it into another wave. Like, we really, the more we put this into practice, the more this becomes the new way of doing things. And as more folks are doing this sort of work, it's going to become the way out here in these astral streets, because that will be the resonance coming off of the populace, and it works like that, you know. So everything you do, it's not just for your path, you know what I'm saying? You're affecting other beings with it, especially with your soul family. And soul family came up in that water placement, you know. Y'all are fire signs, but you know, you're still gonna be dealing with water on some level. You still have a moon sign in your astral zodiac chart, you know, in your construct chart. You know what I'm saying? There's still areas where it's going to come up, where you're going to have to deal with situations that touch on whatever aspect of soul family you need to either gain some wisdom in, celebrate some reward energy in, you know, in that sort of wave. This is where you keep yourself up. Spirit is saying you'll get rewarded. You know, keep yourself in a high wave, you'll get rewarded. If not, if you're having difficulty with that, you might find yourself being calibrated by Spirit, is what I'm being given. You might find yourself really sleepy. You know what I'm saying? And then if that's how it's got to be, then handle it like that, because that's kind of like Spirit will make you go and will make you stabilize. Because remember, the sacred root card, the stability is the subtext, and this is you learning how to be stable, even if part of your stability is to keep moving and jog 5 miles in the morning, and then after that, I don't know, go and get your smoothie if that's your swerve, and after that, I don't know, watch your favorite recipe channel, you know what I'm saying, or listen to an audio book, you know, on your way to, you know, maybe you have a meeting for your job or what have you, or maybe you're gonna go to, you know, a 9-to-5 type situation. I do hope to see more and more y'all coming up off of the need to engage in 9-to-5, unless it's really where you want to be at. So I hope that's helpful. Is there anything else? Stay in touch with your heart, Spirit is saying, fire signs. And you're going to remember what you've forgotten. And that's pretty much it. All right, y'all. Moving on to the earth element. The earth element is in 70. And so it is dealing with, in December, and so it's dealing with a wave that it was very similar to October's, if memory serves. Yeah, because the planet was in 7D. Dealing with 7D. So this is a clarity level. Clear sky is the card. It's the literally the air element level. So a lot of folks are going to be in more of an intellectual wave, but more of a clear thoughts, not a lot of obstructions. This is going to be the preference. The preferential way of dealing. So you're probably going to see folks being more cordial with one another. Obviously, we saw that coming through with the air element. So this will also be affecting the earth element. So being in those high thought frequencies is, just a moment. It's working towards something. Just globally, we need inspiration. You know what I'm saying? Very badly at this point. Just within the functionality of, you know, even the people within the simulation. It's very much needed. There needs to be a breath of fresh air. There needs to be inspiration and flow. There needs to be music. Everything the air rules. It's so crucial. You know what I'm saying? Just to have movement and a newness, you know what I'm saying, enter the equation, because we've been dealing with so much retrograde energy and so many old past patterns that popped up. Like, what the hell? So for us to even maintain balance and interest and continuing to go on, it doesn't surprise me at all that this is showing up. So really what I'm picking up for how it's going to affect things outside of folks, you know, being more cordial, folks are going to be more consciously present, you know, and analyzing how things work. There will be more time for study. You might find yourself doing more reading, looking up information. And I think like because that earthy sacred root energy is affecting the fire area, this is going to influence actions in terms of you're going to be on a more intellectual, cerebral type of wave, more so than perhaps usual, or if that's your usual and you got put off that a little bit, you'll be able to return to that focus. But it's going to be with a more focused, earthy type of, you want to learn about something. I would say this is how it's going to play out in a lot of cases. You always want to study herbs. You might enroll in some herbalism classes, or at least look for maybe a free YouTube lesson series to get you started until you can afford to take those classes and get certified. Whatever your swerve is, if you were thinking about becoming, you know what I'm saying, like vegan, but you really don't want to deal with bland food and you haven't had vegan soul food, because y'all, if you could season meat, you can season your vegan food. It's not problematic at all. It's amazing. I mean, like, it was a meme on Instagram, never said it better, nothing ever said it better, is like, your seasonings are plants. You know what I'm saying? So it's all to the good. And that's not even a vegan PSA, that's just it just came up because that was the example that popped in my head. But some of y'all might start watching some channels that teach you how to prepare certain type of foods. Other of y'all might be on a certain type of internal cleanse regimen, and you want to see what works for who. It all depends. But it's I think more folks are going to be tuning in and facilitating their own downloads that apply to like how y'all are living life, how we're living life. I think it's going to be like a nice, comfortable place to be in for a lot of y'all, like, a sanctuary of sorts, and a place where you can feel stable and feel clear. And the beauty of it is you're empowering yourself. So, I mean, I would check out like Udemy. They've got art courses. It's not just art courses. There's so much to choose from. And these are actual classes, with facilitators that are providing you with knowledge, you know what I'm saying, from experience and from even systems they've built, people who've been at this for a long time, and have achieved certain levels of mastery. For some of y'all who are dealing with small businesses, check out Udemy. Like, there are people there who know how to help you grow your business, and even for specific fields, you can look that up, you know what I mean? So overall, I think, folks are going to be seeking self-empowerment, but there's going to be more of an intellectuality, more of a planned focus of how to get things done, more of an expansion of how to place your value in things that are lasting, and things that are meaningful. So this is really coming out of sleep on some level, because when we're triggered to feel that we need to feel good because we've been hit with so many things that feel horrible, like in karmic relationships and karmic jobs and things of that nature, of course we're going to, there's certain things that we're going to reach for that perpetuate the cycle that are of a low frequency. So I'm all about, you know what I'm saying, obviously I'm more like of a green living chick, you know what I'm saying, so my junk food is of a certain variation, but like, I go for it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you realize that, you should probably be giving your body vessel, more of what it utilizes to function at its best, so that you can get the things done that you want to get done. Like, not even on some pedantic, overly, you should do this or you should do that way of life, but just if you're interested in feeling more vital, there are ways to incorporate that, into your meal plans, at least for breakfast or at least for lunch, and monitor it yourself and see what your body reacts to best. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a big deal too. There are going to be things that work for some people that don't work for you, that don't work for others. So I think that's pretty much what I'm getting. Oh, monetarily, there's going to be a lot of change seeking and solution seeking on the financial front. So I would not be surprised if there's more talk in the news of having to do with cryptocurrencies, or having to do with new approaches, new business models could be emerging that can help to, fund the populace, like in empowering ways. I do sense a resistance against that, but I also sense that even people who are doing, well in comparison to the most folks on the globe right now are seeing that it's necessary that some empowerment be extended to balance things out at what would be conceived as lower society to some minds. So this is a big deal that opportunities could be coming through, and it looks like are going to be coming through along that front, and there will be discussions and trying to find things to make things work. And it does look like some of the people at the helm of this have heart and believe in it, believe in what they're doing, because they're being motivated by what is right. And that is a big deal. So, anything you tune into news-wise or whatever, keep that in mind for sure. What frequencies you resonate with, and what you like, and what you think would work on a financial level, because the homelessness crisis is ridiculous. California should be ashamed of itself. I cannot believe what is happening. I cannot believe it. It is like one of the worst cases of like blatant gentrification, you know what I'm saying, and redlining, everything that has been utilized on a real estate level to keep a disempowerment, you know what I'm saying, amongst those considered to be lower society, and try to facilitate this influx of higher paying folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy. You even have people that work for Silicon Valley that live in tiny houses, that went and got themselves RVs. Okay. Because they're like, I'm not paid. The rents here are ridiculous. I came here to make money. I didn't come here to give, a third of my check away. So, look, you got people working in Silicon Valley who aren't feeling what's going on in that area. People, pull it together. And I'm talking to those who are call themselves running things. When you got that many people homeless, you ain't running nothing but running something into the ground. Pardon my politics. And peace to, the high vibrating Californians, but I can't get behind having folks starving and cold and hungry and being villainized and whatnot for it. So I have to be me and say that, because it's that serious. And that's pretty much what I'm getting for the overall wave. Earth signs. Yeah, Earth signs are going to be getting a lot of downloads. Some of it could be highly intellectual, but just how to organize things, it's really going to be very easy I'm picking up like just a very easy sense of organization. Kind of being clear on what you're being presented with and already knowing how to respond. So this has to do with, I think, with a lot of that behind the scenes work, and the fact that a lot of this clearing has been clearing out the South Node in Capricorn in that astral zodiac construct. So it still affects certain aspects of this simulation experience. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't rule you, but it has electromagnetics that influence the situations you have to encounter, and then it's up to you how you choose to respond. But it looks like what's happening is, like, I think Earth signs have gotten smarter about how to move in the world, how to present yourself without putting all of your cards on the table, how to be wiser, less obvious if you might be in the face of someone who's kind of got a shadowy agenda. So the way that this is affecting Earth signs after last month's emotionally cathartic situations, I think it's really, there's a lot of sharpening going on. And getting ducks in a row. And really taking time seriously on a level of meeting it with a true sense of capability. So this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I think money, for some of y'all, it's going to be like money comes in as anticipated because things were done wisely. Those things that you have done wisely to arrange your finances a certain type of way, you should begin to see them paying out at least by the end of the month, like at least. But for some of y'all, like the beginning of the month. Some of y'all are going to be dealing with like some last laugh energy. I think some of y'all who have really dealt with some abusive kind of behaviors directed your way, whether it's just been over time, ever since you were a child, or just a series of relationships that mirrored the same message that to make you feel devalued or somehow unintelligent or ill-equipped or, you know what I'm saying, ill-positioned, you know, whatever nonsense, pure nonsense was being thrown at you. I think a lot of y'all have woken up to the fact that that's not the case, and you've come in touch with levels of kind of like that dirt goddess energy where you're aware that you deserve to be treated fairly, and you kind of are now in a way where you know just how to get there. It's either rising up in your consciousness or it's clicked on, but I feel that empowerment, and I feel it's coming like at a wiser, smarter level and with support. So the more high vibrational you can be with it without compromising yourself, without compromising your boundaries, the better. But being too nice in situations that are just straight up ruthless with you clearly isn't the answer. And so, you know, we're seeing this is where we're seeing in December situations where you can utilize that primal wave energy that comes up, and you can process it through 7D, process it through strategy. You know, make use of your personal time. Decide where you direct your focus. And pay attention to cause and effect, and how you being the initial catalyst, your thought frequency of what direction you're going to go in, as opposed to a direction that was influenced by a criticizer in your life. You've instead decided, I'd actually like to do this, and now you're aligning your forces to move in that direction. It literally changes the game. Like, it literally, you know what I'm saying, will time trip you. Like, you'll find yourself on another timeline. So this is where you have the opportunity to big time expand your horizons and, so to speak, get in on the waves where the water is warm and the sun is shining down on you, even with this being the winter season. Because that's what it can feel like for y'all this month. It can feel like, wow, there's a whole higher level where I'm supported and accepted and loved. And directly across, you know, we have, and this would be the binary axis of, you know, water and earth. We have that 5D, I accept, true love, soul family. So a lot of this, you're probably going to find these situations are triggered by some of your soul family members. But we'll get into that in the extended portion of this monthly. See if there's anything else that I'm picking up for y'all before I go over the upcycling real quick and the embodying. I don't know. I think that's it. I think like some of y'all are some of y'all, you know, are going to be in a looking to catch up type of wave, but you have there are supports that will come through to let you know that you're on the right track if you feel like you're catching up. You know, like you're on a catch up type of wave. Y'all might not have a lot of time for like relationships. Those of you who are in like established unions that are going well, you know, reasonably well considering the times, you know, it still might be a more solitary time for you, you know, because you're processing and you're turning things over in your mind. So to keep with, to avoid division in your relationships, earth signs, where you don't want there to be division, just a moment. Go into that I accept true love wave. Balance out those clear sky, aloof energies that can come up, and balance it out with I accept true love, soul family. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to bring you in the wave where you're a little more warm and a little more open, a little more receptive, and you might notice that your partner is bored as hell and wants to get out of the house, but you've been sitting behind a computer screen. And it might be time, because nothing's flowing in front of that computer screen at that moment, it might be time to be like, you know what I'm saying, like, you want to go out to eat, you know what I'm saying, let's go do something. And nurture your relationship, you know what I'm saying, and do it that way by remembering to tap into, especially if something's not flowing at that moment with whatever you're working on or researching, then go to that other end and give that other end the attention and the balance that it needs. And, your inspiration will come back and your relationships don't have to suffer at all. And if there's some fence mending that needs to happen, then now you create opportunities to mend some fences in your higher vibrational relationships. All right, y'all. Y'all will be upcycling heart light energy renewal. So, as in December, as we go into that more and more into our heart light energy, there's going to be a lot of trippy stuff, I think, happening with the simulation. Like time warps, I'm picking up. Like it's gonna be trippy. In your inner vision and in the world in general. And like I don't know how I would have hearing that. I don't know how I would have reacted without having experienced these sorts of things first. If I were like tuning in when I was even midway on the journey, I don't know how I would have tried to framework that in my mind, but the best way I can describe it is like I see mists that are in the air, but they're interdimensional, so it's really another dimension, but it's with your eyes, your physical eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen the aftermark of light. The same way the sun will leave like an aftermark on your vision and it changes color when you look away from the sun. I've seen that with light sources, you understand what I'm saying, that aren't coming from here, that are, you know what I mean? So it's like that. I don't think these are going to be scary experiences. I think it's going to be very like, yo. And it's just to get a lot of y'all calibrated to what's possible is what Spirit is saying. It'll be enjoyable. So when you're up leveling and you start to see like some, interesting synchronicities and just any strange interruptions in the simulation pattern, yeah, Spirit's confirming, then you know what's up. And you'll be renewing at that point. That's a renewal of Spirit coming into that heart light energy. It renews you and it renews others. On the embodying level, which you'll all be embodying, is you are capable energy, and this is 8D. Oh, by the way, the heart light energy is at 4D. But that you'll be upcycling, so that's where it'll be taking place. But at the 8D level, which is self-mastery, you are capable is what you'll be embodying. So you'll go up, experience some of that miraculous, bugged out, trippy energy. And what you're going to experience when you begin to embody that is that you're much larger than you thought. As you begin to look at these things that you used to worry could take you, might have possibly had the power to overcome you. It's good. You're going to be seeing it from a different vantage point because you're bringing up that higher energy, that higher heart light energy into these situations from this, obviously being at the 3D level, but through your 8D lens. Like your thought frequency is reaching up high. You know what I'm saying? Reaching up beyond that 3D limit level in such a beautiful energy that's obviously, touched, you know what I'm saying, with some multi-dimensional waves, and the heart light therein. So, bringing that into an as above, so below focus, it gives you the ability to have that be what comes through your column from crown, you know what I'm saying, to root here. And you can begin to, enjoy having more influence over your life in this simulation. Seeing the miracles in this simulation. And just remembering, reactivating, recollecting, however you want to put it, that like, yo, okay, wait a second, like this is a simulation. You know what I'm saying? But being able to do that while you're like in a the 3D simulation, as it were, from your level of self-mastery is another, I hope I'm explaining this correctly, or in a way that isn't too like sounding confounded. We deal with interface and lenses. So you might have certain aspects you've been working with through this simulation, through this earthbound experience, as we've known it, that's been in duality. And that 8D level is how you master whatever comes your way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that earthy energy of even dealing with hard knocks and still pulling up the strength. But it can speak directly to your binary challenges, the as above, so below, hierarchy issues, your place of power and things. And so when you come back from like miraculous levels of heart light energy, because you're up leveling a 4D energy into very high waves, when that energy comes through that, your self-mastery levels, you're now dealing with situations that you used to think couldn't be moved unless you followed official rules or official ways of doing things, and you're realizing, there's loopholes aplenty, because if the foundation of what you're dealing with is crooked, then you can decide what your level of engagement is going to be and how things are going to work out for you. I hope I don't know. I hope I'm explaining that well. All right, y'all. I think I'm going to close out here for the overview. I did not expect the overview to be an hour and 13 minutes, but this energy, y'all, is wow to me after what we've dealt with, and so grateful for it. So grateful for it. Be grateful for it. This is how we balance things out. So make good use of this energy. Really keep those thoughts in high frequency. Like that right there, y'all. That is amazing, because that is how things are going to change. And things can change more quickly than folks think. You know what I'm saying? With how establishments are reestablished. A lot of that old corrupt establishment stuff has been in the dismantling process. It's been falling down. You know what I'm saying? When folks are in high frequency waves like that, it can't erect itself. It doesn't have an answer for that. It's a dualistic thing. When you're in a non-dualistic place and it's a whole bunch of heads that are just in a non-dualistic focus, there is no, the simulation can't, you know what I'm saying? That game that's been played with the duality level of simulation, it doesn't work. That's why it's all about, like, if you have homeless in your area and you have the energy and you have a little bit of extra resources, even if it doesn't even have to be money, make some sandwiches and bring them, unfortunately the Greens have been a lot of the areas where, some of the homeless have had to form, like, little encampments and whatnot, but even if it's a parking lot somewhere, like, bring it on over. Don't be scared. You know what I'm saying? They're people who've fallen on hard times, and like, it makes a difference in someone's life. It can make the difference in between whether or not someone feels like they want to go on living. And, I'm bringing this up because it's important that we realize, like, how much we can change with just a little, like, an hour out of our day, to prepare the sandwiches or prepare something and bring it on over. If you've got it to do. You know what I'm saying? If you've got it to do, or go buy some, if you got a little bit of extra, go buy some pre-made sandwiches and just, bring it through and meet people. If y'all got YouTube channels, do that. and film it for those who are willing to be filmed. Let them tell their story. I think like this is how things are going to change, is by us actually acting like people. Like we got some sense. Like we know how to feed some people when they're hungry and they're cold. So that is that, y'all. I will encapsulate it there. If you are looking for notifications, if you're already subscribed, click the notification bell if it hasn't been clicked. And for those of you who are subscribing, remember to click the notification bell if you want to receive notifications when like readings drop, or when when readings drop, when updates drop, that sort of thing, because the algorithms work a certain kind of way. You know how it is on YouTube. All right, y'all, we're going to be
moving on to extended content on Patreon. And you should be able to see that there tomorrow, which I believe is mentioned in the intro clip that I have to edit in. And this will include a bit of extended monthly content as far as like this December monthly update, extra tools, how to work with things and that sort of thing. Some of those things may make their way here. And of course, the Star Sestry vids, there's going to be an overview posted of the longer vids that are on Patreon. For those who aren't quite yet ready to join Patreon or may not have the means right now, I'm also going to have some, as soon as I can figure out how to do it, I'm going to have some opportunities, especially for those who have taken the time to comment in the past, because it's made so much of a difference in terms of my own just feeling like, I'm not talking into a void, and like, there are people out there listening and benefiting, where there are going to be like the free membership option or what have you. I'm not sure how it works at this time. I've had weird Wi-Fi access, so I haven't had a lot of time to do additional research. But all of the info will be coming up and posted. And there's plenty, and I'm extremely excited about it because I've been studying for years, y'all. So there's so much that can be done right now with the potential of right now, that's outside of fear mongering or outside of what's going to come in 2020. Like what? Like that's an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? 2020 presents an opportunity. Like there are ways to engage with what's happening from an empowered place. And, I'm definitely going to make sure that there's publicly available content for those who just for whatever reason can't or won't at this time join the more private community on Patreon. But those that are really like deeply interested in doing the work on a level where certain results and certain heights are reached, and access to the quantum self really can come online, and you can see in real time how it's affecting your life. That's really what a lot of the content is going to be geared toward there, along with some meta living content, because there are ways to earn money, what I'm saying, that are more empowering. There are ways that if you're interested in like green living, where you can, there's a lot of DIY you could be getting involved in. It's not only good for your budget, but it's just good for your heart. It feels good to be able to make what you utilize. And then if you're particularly good at something, now you can be good for an extra thing that you can extend to the community that's good for the community, where you might be like, like a bomb soap maker, you know what I'm saying? And you might have like a certain swerve where you put in a special blend of oils. This is just changing people's lives out here. And I think like, if more folks are aware of the empowering options that are available, like just at a DIY level, it takes away from all of these disempowerment messages that are shot at us all the time, like from these, these frequencies, these low frequency waves, these ELFs, you know what I'm saying? I would have to say some of these are. So, all right, let me stop rambling. I hope that y'all have a splendid month. I'm easing into the energy, and it's taking me some time to calibrate to it, because it's very high vibrating, and the 60 energy is live and in full effect. So the more time, once I have a little more time to up level, I'm looking forward to seeing like how everything manifests. You know what I'm saying? So I hope y'all are taking your time to do that and to up level, listen to your high frequency binaurals, and really get it in, because that's something you can always do, and you can have it in the background. You know, start your morning with empowering thoughts. Start your morning with your personalized affirmation list, an affirmation list too that others have made that you find useful to you. And you're going to see changes in your life, because the same way the negative messages have replayed in your mind and created the disempowerment you experience is the same way the empowering messages are going to create an empowerment experience that cannot be denied. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace and blessings on your ascension journey.